Andre, what are you watching today? Cesar, what about you? All right. Let's get to where. Let's dig through. Hey, guys, by the way, couple things. Earnings season is going to be starting up in what? Like a week, right? So sharpen your swords a little bit because, Alcoa kicks off earnings season. So 2 weeks, right? And then you'll have Citigroup, JPM. That's really the true kickoff, right? The banks go first, little bastards. So you do have earnings season popping up a little bit too. And I think that's going to be, this will be a fandazzle one. Like there'll be all sorts of nonsense going on in this one. So I think it's going to be a good one for us to have a little fun. So, right now is probably not the time to go too crazy because, you're starting to see a little bit of tiredness and, a lot of, right, the kind of names that we've been trading for a long time. So it may be a good time to just shift into, a little bit of hibernation too. I mean, the market is still red hot, but you got to find some new names now, right? You got to find some new names because the old ones are a little bit tired. What's up, everybody? So let's dig into the indexes here. We got a flat open on the market today. There's not much in the way of news or any catalyst today. So we're just going to probably see how this goes. And, I think we've had a huge 3 days, anyways, right? We're pretty far off the lows. We're 25 points off the lows, 23 points. And the market itself is starting to, shape up a little bit. We tested into the 50-day moving average. We've ramped it now. And, I would consider yesterday a follow through day, even though we gave back, half the gains or whatever into the close or into the afternoon. Potato, tomato for the most part. It had some, man, it had a good look to it for most of the day. And beyond that, one of the things that I thought was important about yesterday is, right, there was just a lot of follow through, a lot of spec money flying around. And I think that's the real catalyst, right? That's the real something to know that it's going. So even though we get back some of the gains, you still saw a lot of, right, hot heat and, right, some of these names out here that, dude, I mean, look at this, right? You had trend days in Oklo, and you had trend day in Meta. I mean, you had big trend and, right, TSM closed right at high. So you had all sorts of good stuff happening. I think, the market itself is in a bullish state. We may need a slight, rest, not necessarily in the indexes, but some of these stocks that we've been trading because they are getting a little bit long in the tooth, right? So, like you're on day 4 of a move on, right? TSM, like you're already right outside the upper Bollinger Band. If you're looking at, right, like an Oklo or something like that, right? You've already pushed $10, off its lows. Like, doesn't mean it's dead, no, but like, right, you've kind of exhausted some of the original heat. And so now what do you need? Well, you gotta back and fill some of this area and just congeal it, and then it resets up again. So, overall it doesn't necessarily, it's not a bad thing, but the big hairy Indian butt is that, you do want to get just a little something something. Get my Hey Jen buddy, what up, baby? How you doing? It is cold in Florida, by the way. I don't know if anybody else has noticed. It's cold as fuck everywhere. I got the heater on. I woke up, it was like 35 degrees. And it was 65, 70 yesterday. I don't know what's going on. But when it gets colder, you got to switch creams, people. You can't just go in with your summer moisturizer. That's not going to work. You got to go in with the heavy cream. You got to go in with that heavy cream. You want to start looking like a ball sack. Oh, you got to go into heavy, heavy cream. This is not a moisturizer type of day. Today it's not a serum moisturizer combo day. This is a heavy cream day. Jen Bunny, you know that you're in California. I mean, you don't apply the right creams. Your face probably looks like a little bit like a catcher's mitt some days. Now you're half Asian, so you probably are always dewy, but for the most part, everybody else. Now, getting back to this, let's take a look at the SPY here. A little bit of just a range life, too. We are kind of starting to test out a range. It's a sloppy range, right? It's not. Right? You get the nice Korean face mask. That's where the action's at. It's a little bit of a sloppy range on the SPY compared to the Qs. But we are still digesting here, right? We've really been in a range for quite some time. So overall, the markets are hot, but the indexes are kind of stuck in range. The IWM is not doing anything. I think at this point, you just, say the IWM is dead to you. Now, let's take a look and see what kind of PR plays we have here, because that's where the real heat's been every day. It's not been in necessarily index stocks, right? But it's been in these kind of 30 McGee's that have just been rampant and rampant and rampant. And, it's kind of like 2020, 2021 all over again. It's been a long time since we've seen this kind of heat in these kind of rippers. Even the stocks like Fubo and stuff are ripping around. So that's not even a low float stock. So you would, if you like these little guys, then, something like this is probably right up your flavor. Not mine, but I ain't opposed to it. Junk. You can see this is also right, you got a gap right through all of this range out here. When you see that, you're gonna be able to get a little hootenanny on some of these things, dude. Shutterstock blast from the past. Shutterstock with the little blast from the past. Let me see what's going on with this boy. Make sure it's not a buy. It's a merger. Pass. Now this I could be into. Cormatic shares advanced after reporting preliminary Q4 net revs. You can see here, this thing has been coiled up tighter than a goose's caboose. That could be right up our alley. You got a 50 million share float on this one. It doesn't have much liquidity yet, but it's been real coiled up. And it was a former, I wouldn't say runner because it took fucking months to get there. But this is, it used to be a little bit of a trender. I wouldn't be opposed to this one. Let's add it and see if the liquidity comes in. It's hard to trade a $10 name. It's hard to trade $10 name, that's a little bit illiquid at the open. But let's see if it flows in. I'll add it for now. Let me get rid of all my shit here. Hold on. I'd add this IMRX too. CRMD. Let's add that bad boy. Nari looks like a buyout. Hey, this ARB, guys, these robot companies are still cooking and booking. The dips are getting bought. You saw this yesterday in Surf where you just said this it ripped down and it just got bought up like a motherfucker. Now, Surf is getting tanked-ola. Oh, smooth. They did a little offering, 80 million direct offering. Sneaky bastards. So that's probably a leave alone for today. See how they really digest that. But going back into, this ARB Nation. Hold on here. These things are still going, but this thing was $1.50, right? So you can't really chase this thing up. You gotta and you can see even yesterday, it was a little bit of a tricky trader. So I always find those to be leave alones. Ooh, this I'm into. Let's see what the. ENVX secures landmark purchase order for silicon batteries. Landmark. Ooh, this has got a big breakout on it. Does anybody see this landmark purchase order? How much it was for? Let me look it up here. Secure ENVX secures major prepaid order. Prepaid? That never happens. Prepaid order for silicon batteries for leading AI MR tech company. Initial delivery set for mid 2025 to power next gen mixed reality wearables, financials, not disclosed per always. I'd add this. This is the right market for that kind of. This is the right market for that type of PR. It is. And this thing had a run at about 18 just a little bit ago. I mean, it is like stuck in a weird spot, but I think some of these kind of like battery-ish names are picking up steam. You know, I added this this BE's got like a nice spot to it also. This was the hot runner, right? From 19 to 30. And then now you got this nice consolidation that it's coming out of. And so you're starting to get a little bit of something in these names. Let me see what this. Yeah, and I believe this is a battery company too. Let's add this ENVX. And even if you look yesterday, right, like the old QS was starting to get a little bit of a bid in it too, and so you're starting to get a little bit of something. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, Bloom Energy designs, manufacture, sells, install solid oxide fuel systems for. I don't know what any of that shit means, but good look right there. Let's add it. And by the way, I would keep especially if you're a swing trader, I would keep this BE on your watch list for a potential swing. It's a little bit of a grinder now. It's lost its initial push, but that's a hot look because if you look here on say like a weekly chart. Oh, motherfucker. Hold on, my TC1000 died. Hold on here. One sec. I gotta reboot this motherfucker. Alright. Give me 1 second here. Da-da-da-da. Ba-ba. There it goes. Wham. Alright, we back? Cool. Just making sure, man. All right, so going back to this, I would keep all these kind of battery-ish plays. I'd keep them right on your watch list because what the fuck? Hold on here. Yeah, I would keep them right on your watch list because you're gonna you're getting a bid in all of them here. So I would start with QSBE, and I'd put in this ENVX too. All these little things are starting to look good. Even butt plug is starting to come out of range. You can see some of these other ones are not as fun, but let's go and let's hook this bad boy up today. All right, now let's see what else is juicy. ANVS is a turd. Look at this. This is the vaccine company. This thing was hot for like 2 days. Hey, so this Fubo, it had a big PR out yesterday. 700 million shares in volume, all day long trender on this thing. Now it's got basically, I would say, it a flat open, give or take. Pretty close to yesterday's close. I'd keep an eye on this bad boy. If you like these little guys, this has probably got a little something something to it. Yeah, it's got a good look, because if you look left, right, you're clearing out all these levels. Man, it's touching levels that really hasn't been to since 2022. That's a good spot for this kind of company. Man, that's a good spot, man. I used to fuck around with this thing all the time. Let's add this one to the watch list. I think there's a day two play in here somewhere. It may need OR. You could do an ORB, but probably let it spike up and then pull a little and see how that holds. I think that'll probably be the play on it. Junk, 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 junk. These are all stuck in range. Hey, by the way, this CVNA has been hit hard. It's been right. It got hit by the Hindenburg too. It's having a dead cat bounce right now. If it gets back into this bone zone here, I'd probably look into shorten this bad boy over. It's a little bit oversold right now, but it's got a little fake upgrade on it. Look at this shit. New year, new MU. This is a good sign, by the way. Like, when you see a stock take off in the first week like this, it'll tell you it'll be in play for the rest of the year. Now, if you see MU, like it's on day 4 of the move and it's got a gap up today, like you can't really do much on that. The easy money's been made on it, right? And so this gap probably back and fills a little bit. I'd probably leave that alone, but keep it on a longer term watch list. Junk. I think this one. Which one, Tarun? Oh, yeah. The MU? Yeah, you got a love hate relationship with this thing. Yeah, you get a chance at it. It's still not like necessarily hot. Like it's had a nice bounce, but you're still stuck in like a big, big, nasty range on it. So I wouldn't worry too much. All right, well let's dig into some. Let's dig into some of these other. Let's dig into some of the watch list here. Let's see if meta pulls today. Like you're too close to resistance, but at some point, if this thing dumps off today, I think we want to try to snag it. Like, say you kind of come back into like 620 or something. I think we want to snag that. NNE's at a huge level right here, right? Test, test, test. This stock's a big smelly turd. There's no getting around that. But the thing is, this thing has got a huge breakout setting up on it. Even though it's a big turd, I mean, that's like, you can't really write a better script than that, right? In terms of a look, especially because these IPO stocks have been, right? These IPO stocks have been so damn hot. So I'd keep this on the watch list. It may need an inside day. What I mean by inside day is just like a small rest day, just because it is $10 off its low. It doesn't necessarily have to be the case, but ideally, when you get like a breakout setup like this, and to me, this is probably more of a swing trade setup, anyways, if it wasn't such a turd. Ideally, like you'd have a little bit of a rest. Like it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but like you got yourself a little something something. So keep this bad boy. It may rest off today, but if it doesn't, say you dump down a little bit, right? You dump down a couple points here. I start watching this one to see if it gets bought up, because that'll allow it to tighten up and then rip into this. I mean, you can't argue with this. So, like, even though it's a big smelly turd, sometimes you just got to close your eyes and do the stranger, right? Sometimes you got to close your eyes and do the stranger. In the end, hot is hot. Now, on the other side of things, right on the nuclears. You've got Oklo and some of these bad boys, but this one's probably too far gone now. You've already had 1, 2, 3 up days. Like today would be 4. So that's a little bit long in the tooth right there. It's still up, it's still a nice little heater, but you're gonna need a little something something now, right? You're gonna need a little something something to get this thing going. Yeah, I'd only hit this one on pulls today. Like most likely it's a leave alone, just due to the fact that most likely it's a leave alone, just due to the fact that it's a little bit extended. Probably right. The NNE is a little bit tighter. Probably the NNE is a little bit tighter, and then Smar here is just starting up too. You just came out of range here, not as clean as the other two, but you saw like this also had like some pretty awesome range on it. It's got good liquidity. It did 20 million shares yesterday. Can't argue with that. I'd keep these on the watch list. Smar's got probably a little bit of catch up compared to the other two. So now let's dig into a couple more here. I've been watching this lemonade for a swing for quite some time, and we could day trade this thing too. After this initial run from $20 to 55, you've had this pretty orderly pullback, right? Pretty orderly pullback right to the 50-day moving average, and it's been just kind of grinding here. So any kind of push over the 9 EMA, I think, triggers this thing, into the next pop, and it still needs a little bit of work before it really speeds up. But like I think this is the beginning. If it can hold here and then close over the 9 EMA, I think this sets up really nicely for just like a little bit of a compression kind of breakout. Joby had a little bit of a rest day yesterday too. So, watch and see if this one pulls back here. If it retests like into the 950, 940, I think that probably sets this bad boy up. Fuck, this fucker gapped. Lulu, dude, this thing is hot. So, like, after this big push, this was earnings right here, right? You've really built out a nice, clean level here that you took out yesterday. It is gapping through it. So, you're going to have to wait for it to pull back intraday. I think, though, you're going to have. I think you're going to have yourself a little fun on this one, too. That's probably a swing trade setup. I like the overall look of it. And then app is already getting dusted. Let me see what's up with this thing. Let me see what's up. Anybody seeing news on this thing? It might just be a fugazi. App. Love it. I don't see anything on it. It's starting to really coil up over here. I'd be okay with this one if it starts to remount and goes red to green. Like keep an eye on it. And then I don't know why this thing is such a rendy, but the setup is there. It's the only damn semiconductor that's not going, and you're getting there. Like it's congealing, and it's dipping and ripping and riding, and it's congealing. It just gotta it's got to clear out some spots. Yesterday, one thing I didn't like was yesterday it started to clear it out, but then it got rugged pretty much back and filled the gap the whole way. I don't like to see that in general. And so it looks like you're just kind of absorbing a lot of supply into these areas. You may just, you got to clear it all out and hold. And I think, that 240 hold will be huge. And then, I think you'll probably build into this 242. It is trading a little bit suspect, and it is a thicker stock, right? You got a 5 billion share float on this. It's not going to just, whoosh, just rip right through sometimes, especially when it made such a huge move off the lows, right? You made $100 moves, 75% in a handful of days here. So congealing it is okay. It's holding over the 9, and it's getting added on dips. So like, till this 240 breaks, basically the play is to try to snag it, near the low end of the range because it keeps popping through. And then, at some point, if it rips in, then you're in like a good then you're in a good spot. I like the overall look. It just needs a little bit of work, but you're starting to see it congeal and do some stuff here. Dun, 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 dun. PLTR had a downgrade yesterday, so I think this one is maybe like a little head and shoulders. It may not be anything, but look, you can see the 9 and 20 EMA really tightening up on this bad boy. When that happens, like you wanna just give it some time, and let it digest here. You can start to see, right? Like it's just the pattern's getting fast and loose. And when you start to get fast and loose, where you start to get pops and drops and pops through, your EMAs, that's usually a signal that you're going to have some level of consolidation for a period of time. Just a little something, something for the ladies. Yes, I think this is probably a leave alone. It had a note out by some analyst, I believe, at Morgan, and he was basically like, "Look, man, this fucking thing was $6, and now it's $75. Like it did what it was supposed to do, right? And so now it's like, all right, it's been Ruggy McGee, and I think you just leave it alone, let it base out. You'll see this thing. It may need months and months to just digest all this 1,000% move that it made in 2024, and it may need a few months to just hang out and kind of grind people out. And that's kind of how what you're seeing with, right, even Tesla right now. It's like you had this huge move from 200 to 500. It happened fucking fast, right? End of October to middle of December, 2 months, right? And so now you need time to like grind everybody out and just chop around and absorb, shake everybody out, frustrate everybody, right? And you got to like build out a new range. The easiest time to trade it is right when it's like kind of breaking out and it's clean and you're over the MAs. Now your MAs have flattened out and so you have trend confusion. Like your longer term trend is higher, but your short term ones are starting to point down, so you get a little bit more. And it may need time to just shop around and do all of this before anything happens. So I'd probably this is a leave alone. They got a downgrade on this today from Bank of America to downgrade to neutral from buy. If it breaks below 402, we may have a little bit of a short in it as it kind of builds out a new range. I think this is a tough stock to fucking short, so I'd probably leave it alone myself. But what are you gonna fucking do? Let's take a look at some of these big boys here real quick. Beyond MU, Nvidia is gapping up again. Now Nvidia, they spoke at the CES conference yesterday, and it's been kind of grinding up. But you've had a huge monster cock move here, 20 points right in the last few days, into the highs. That's probably a leave alone. If not, I'd even personally watch it for a sell the news. But it's been a tough market to short, so I'd probably just leave it alone. And you can see AVGL still looks good, right? Microsoft stuck in range. Meta's at the breakout spot, but extended. So you need an inside day on that. And you can see here Amazon, right? They're all kind of just goofing around here. Even Google's right at the breakout spot, at that 200, give or take. But it could use a small bit of rest. Like you don't want to ever hit these breakouts when they're on day 4, day 5. You can see here Apple's that are on there. And the Tesla's breakdown, pull back, chop around most likely. So let's get back into this. At 12, oh, what the fuck? Hold on here. At 12, IONQ presents at the CES conference. Let's see if they don't, oftentimes, like if they don't say anything cool, right, these things can sell off right after the conference. And I believe RGTI is also speaking today. So if IONQ sells off, and you can see here this is the weekly chart of RGTI, right? He says, I mean, you very rarely see that, right? You very rarely see that. So you're getting into that spot where it's coming. Let's see how IONQ reacts. If it ramps into the conference at into noon, I think it's noon Eastern time. Let me double check here. Da-da-da-da. Yeah, IONQ presents 12 Eastern. So if it ramps into this, say you get like 55, 56, you hit the top of that Bollinger Band, I think we'll get ourselves a little, sell the news event on this bad boy. And this has also had, right? It's had its epic run now. Is it still okay for the long term? Sure, but it's going to need months to digest and pop around. Like nothing goes up forever, right? At some point, you're going to spend 6 months just like grinding it out and just recalibrating its ranges. You know what, Netflix? I'd wait till you get to the 50-day moving average. You're getting there. It does have its earnings coming in a couple of weeks, but you're getting there. If it comes in the 50-day moving average, toy. Is that how? Did I say that right? Toy. Fuck, that's awesome, dude. I don't know if that's a good God-fearing Christian name, but that's a good God-fearing name right there. I love it. Toy, dude. You're in all the puss with that one. That's a lot better. The Indian people, we don't got that good of names, right? It's like Bhupendra, Duryodhan, Abhishek. We don't get the cool ones. Tarun. I mean, Tarun changed his name to Bob. Bob. Of all the names, Bob. Hey, guys. Bob's the name. Toy. Is it really? That must be a South Indian name then. that must be a South Indian name. All right, guys, remember, Meta, if it pulls, the Joby Nation too, let it pull, and we're going to have some